We are here in central Texas on October 12th, 2020, and we are going to diagnose some features of this creek. So let's look at the creek. In previous videos, I've talked about the diagonal construction of the ancients, and I've never put this particular spot on video, so I wanted to do that. And presumably the ancients did this for structural strength. The diagonal was a 45 to the flow of the river, or we could say a 45 to the line between the hills. So on the left we have a little hill, okay? And on the right we have a little hill. And the ancients built this river exactly where it is, essentially in the shape we see it, with diagonal construction. Now that doesn't mean there aren't other lines of construction here. So we see, for instance, this running at a 90-degree angle to the flow of the river, but we do consistently find diagonal construction in the lower levels of creek banks and river banks. So this gypsum, concretized by the ancients to make a riverbed, was used as fertilizer by American farmers. And back in 1820, there was something called the Plaster War, which was the demand for gypsum fertilizer for the crops was so high in the United States that a smuggling trade arose from Nova Scotia. And the war, the Plaster War as it was called, was the war between the smugglers from Nova Scotia and the government in New Brunswick, which didn't want to allow illegal passage of gypsum to America. That's how that's how valuable gypsum was to the American farmer. It's a very potent fertilizer for crops, presumably because of the high sulfur content. So these softer layers, which do slowly erode over time, give the soil an incredible boost continually. This is what the ancients gave us. High sulfate, softer earthquake mitigating layers to allow crops to flourish. This is ecological terraforming. I just wanted to mention one more thing. We see this section break in the softer material through those softer mini layers that compose this soft earthquake mitigating layer below the harder layer there, right? That section break continues on to be a section break in the next layer. So this hard layer, which geology is telling us is a completely different era of time, has the same section break. Smooth face, if you take out one side, if you took out all this material on the left, you'd see all these smooth faces on the inside of these softer layers. We can see the smoothness of the face on the harder layer because it's broken out. And we can see the smoothness of the face on this one because this one's broken out a little bit above it. So this bisects what geology would call many different time periods, this line. And that's not what nature would do. Nature would not leave a line going through different eras. It just doesn't make any sense. It's total nonsense, okay? That's why terraforming is the theory with evidence behind it, and that's why this is the end of institutional geology. This photo right here, this photo ends institutional geology. And we're glad to have it end, because we don't want to engage nonsense anymore as if it's fact. Geology is promoted as fact in the universities. It's not, it's a theory. This shows this break between sections shows that institutional geology does not have a single leg to stand on, okay? It has no foundation. It's built on sand. This is Jock Doubleday reporting from an ancient engineered creek, terraformed in its entirety here in central Texas. I hope everyone has a scientific day.